handing over now to Paul Oster.
Thank you.
Paul's going to talk about credit. His piece really could be 2 days. And the credit piece to us in the mortgage industry is I would say, the one component that we would ask your help on to get involved early, preemptively to help the borrower run the credit report. And without seeing your thunder, Paul, I think your piece is very important to us. So to only give you 5 minutes, I'm sorry to do you this service, but that's what we have today. So.
That's okay, thank you. I'm actually about to throw up. I speak all over the country once or twice a month. It doesn't matter. I always get nervous before I talk in front of the group. And I'm sitting here waiting for the microphone. My palms are sweating. I'm always in front of it. Spit on one of the panelists up here. I'm going to like get Tourette's all of a sudden and scream out, "Shut the front door!" But anyway, now I only have 4 minutes, so in a nutshell, credit sucks for you, but that's it. But really, the credit piece, consumer credit is probably the most widely misunderstood animal in the industry. I started a company, credit repair organization, about 7 years ago, and each and every day we learn new things, we scratch our heads, we can't believe what's going on, and we have a staff of 2 credit expert attorneys. And every single day we're amazed at the big 3. And you probably hate the credit bureaus as much as I do. So I'm just going to, again, some broad strokes here. Most of us know that if you pay your bills on time, you should have good credit. If you pay your bills late, you're going to have bad credit. But there's so many other factors that go into it. And we're not even privileged enough to know exactly what goes into our credit scores as consumers. It's closely guarded proprietary information that the credit bureaus themselves don't even know. So, little history. Big 3 credit bureaus, most people know, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. All they do is collect the data on us. They give that data to another company to come up with a credit score. Fair Isaac Corporation. That's where your FICO score comes from. Okay? The 3 credit bureaus are not government agencies. They are privately held, for-profit companies that do a terrible job at what they do. Okay? The latest research shows that over 70% of us as consumers have false and inaccurate information on our credit reports. The bureaus are terrible at maintaining and updating our information. How many times do you work with a borrower and you hear it all the time? "Oh, I paid that 5 years ago." You have a collection, you have a judgment on your credit. "I paid it. They never get reported correctly, they never get updated. And it's what makes your job so difficult. But the idea is, as an agent, to turn the table a little bit and learn how to use credit as an added value to your repertoire of tools. Most agents that I speak to, and Mark said it to me this morning, agents don't want to touch the credit thing early on. They feel it's kind of invasive and obtrusive. But I say no, it should be the #1 thing that you talk to about, especially first-time home buyers. And they may say to you, "Oh, I've been pre-approved. I have a 740. I'm good to go." And you have to say, "I understand. I believe you, and I trust that you've been pre-approved and you have a 740. But the problem is not with you, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client. The problem is with the people that are giving you that score. And we have to be able to take a peek and make sure, what does your score trend look like?" Most people don't understand. You can pull a credit report that has a scoring trend that will tell you in the next 6 months, you're not going to be at a 740. If you continue the same behavior that you're currently doing right now, in 6 months, you might be at a 720. And ask some of the mortgage people the difference between a 720 and a 740 today. You could be costing or saving your client thousands and thousands of dollars. Forget about being approved or not approved. Okay? Most people understand the credit score. If you pay your bills on time, credit payment history is about 35% of your credit score. The second biggest piece to that puzzle is called your utilization score. That's about 30%. That's your available credit towards your balances, or your balances towards your available credit. Most people think it's 50%. It may have been that way back in the day. It's not that way anymore. Between 50 and 30% is what we see as neutral. When you go below 30%, you will start to increase a borrower's scores. In the eyes of FICO, people that are 10% or below are considered high achievers. They actually have a designation called a high achiever. So 10% or below, you're getting the most score improvement. Between 10 and 30 is a good thing. 30 to 50 is neutral at best. You go over 50% of your credit limits with your balances, your scores will go down. The other thing most people don't understand is about inquiries. We just posted an article that came out the other day on our website about credit inquiries. The FTC, the government, tells us that borrowers who are looking to purchase a home or refinance are allowed to shop around. And they can have as many inquiries as they want in the 30 days. It's not true. Okay? If nothing else changes on someone's credit report other than new inquiries, the scores go down. We look at thousands of them every month. Okay? Part of that problem is, if they were all coded correctly, maybe the scores wouldn't go down. But they're never coded correctly. Okay? Loan officers are taking these credit reports, they're not coding them correctly, they're getting put in as different inquiries, and it will cause the scores to go down. Okay? And when you're talking about 5 points costing or saving somebody thousands of dollars, that's a big deal. And that's something that you, as the agent, can be educating your clients early on in the process. The other biggest misconception is about credit history. Okay? And people, as you agents know, they get crazy when they're looking to buy a new house. They close cards, they open cards, everybody wants a Home Depot card, some people buy new cars. All of those crazy things that happen in the window before they purchase their home could cost you a deal and your client. So closing a credit card is the single worst thing you can do to your credit score. Okay? Single worst thing. All right? And I'm not the person who likes to throw mud at anybody, but there are people on TV late at night. Susie Orman, she asked did you hear it? She has a segment where people send in videos of how they destroyed their cards. They put them in blenders, they set them on fire, they shoot them, all sorts of crazy things. And she never mentions that closing that credit card does two things. You lose whatever credit history you had up until that point, and you can never get credit history back. You start from day one. The second thing you lose is whatever available credit you had now skews your utilization ratio the other way. So what do most people do? They get angry at Capital One, they pay off that credit card, they get their tax return and pay it off, and I close that card. I'll show them. And then one of the loan officers goes to pull a credit report, right before closing, like they require to do now, and the scores drop. And you say, what the hell did you do? I closed the credit card because Susie Orman told me to.
Because wouldn't a loan officer look at it and say, well, it's less credit than they exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From a financial planning perspective.
May I just ask you to just repeat that, because we didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can repeat your question.
Closing a credit card is the single worst thing you can do to your credit score, because you lose credit history and whatever available credit you had on there. Want to talk about oxymoronic things in the credit world? People paying off collections think they're doing a good thing. Paying off an old collection can actually cause your scores to go down. You pay off a collection that's more than 2 years old today, your scores may go down.
Why?
Because you're taking a trade line and a credit history every day. The previous 24 months of information carries the most amount of weight. So a collection from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, starts to carry less and less weight towards the score. You pay it off today, it's the date of last activity is today. And the scores may go down. With that being said, here's another piece that's really important to the agents, and Artie said it best about being a professional in your industry, so you have the ability to at least approach these subjects. There's a new mortgagee letter coming out, a new guideline that concerns debt, collections, judgments, charge-offs. Okay? Anything, a single item or cumulative over $1,000 is going to need to be satisfied or in a repayment plan for 3 months before they can close their deal. So understand that. It used to be you could satisfy things at the closing table. You would state that we're going to satisfy this at the closing table. That's not going to happen anymore. They already put it into the system. They pulled it back a little bit because it caused it so much turmoil, but it's coming, and it's going to come very, very quickly. So you're looking at a credit report with your client early on in the game, and they have a judgment for $2,000. They have to satisfy it or get into a repayment plan for a minimum of 3 payments. Well, that's 90 days. That's 3 months. That could cause a lot of pain.
I just have a question. If you have a judgment outstanding and it's settled, and you get the creditor to agree to indicate that it was paid in full, how does that affect?
It doesn't. This is a big myth, okay? People that have collections, any defaulted debt does not have to be paid in full. Paid in full versus settled for less than, the damage has already been done.
Okay.
So one of the things you can do as a realtor is advise your clients. This is an area where it pays the person, it's worth every penny to have an attorney or to have a professional settle their debts for them, because they will never get a letter of satisfaction. It's never going to be marked correctly on the credit report and updated the right way. The people in the debt business, the people that collect debts, are the worst pond scum on the face of the planet. Are there any debt collectors in here? See, I jumped the gun. You're a debt collector? I'm sorry. You're not.
No, I'm an attorney, and I can say that when I negotiated, they don't get any money until I see the draft of the letter, and then the letter's got to be up.
Beautiful.
Then I get their blood type and a tourniquet.
If you wanted to advise a client to pay off a debt, like she just said, it is imperative that they get a conditional letter of satisfaction in writing. But the problem with that is these guys are very good at what they do. And they're going to tell your client that they don't do that. You pay me today, we're going to drop it in the mail. That doesn't happen.